How do we feed a planet of billions?
Yeah.
It's a fundamental question, really.
Yeah.
Impacts every single one of us.
Absolutely.
And often the answers lie in places you might not expect. Today, we're doing a deep dive into one of those critical, maybe slightly overlooked sectors, the global compound fertilizer market. Now, that might sound a bit niche, but it's growth. I mean, it's a remarkable growth. And where that's happening, well, it tells a really compelling story about global agriculture, about these huge economic shifts underway.
It really does.
Our guide for this deep dive is a pretty comprehensive market report. It's from Cognitive Market Research, packed with data, projections, looking all the way out to 2033.
Right. And our mission here really is to sift through all that detailed intelligence. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you. We'll focus on the key trends, maybe highlight some surprising areas of growth, and basically help you understand what all this data means in the bigger picture. Because, even within what seems like dry statistics, there are these fascinating stories of global development just waiting there.
Okay, let's unpack this then, because the sheer scale we're talking about here, it's genuinely impressive. So back in 2021, the global compound fertilizer market, it was valued at just over $7.6 billion. Now look at the projections. This is where it gets really eye-opening.
Right.
By 2033, it's forecast to nearly double.
Double, wow.
Yeah, reaching a staggering $16.7 billion. That means a robust compound annual growth rate, the CAGR of 6.8%.
And what's fascinating there is just how quickly this market is expanding. I mean, this isn't just, steady plodding growth. It's significant acceleration. It points to a fundamental and growing demand for these products worldwide.
Right.
And compound fertilizers, they're crucial because they deliver multiple essential nutrients all in one go. That boosts crop yields, boosts efficiency.
Which is vital.
It becomes absolutely vital when you think about the increasing pressure on global food security, the need to produce more food from, frankly, less land.
Exactly. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The regional breakdown. Let's start with the undisputed leader here. The Asia-Pacific region is, well, it's absolutely at the forefront of this growth.
Definitely leading the charge.
In 2021, that market was worth around $2.3 billion, the projection. More than double, again, to nearly $5.7 billion by 2033. And that comes with the highest regional KGR we see, over 7.6%.
Yeah, and within Asia-Pacific, you've got China, of course. Still the dominant position. It's projected to more than double its market value to over $2.3 billion.
Okay.
But India really shows remarkable momentum. It's driving some of the highest growth in the region with a CGR over 8.3%.
Wow, 8.3%.
Yeah. And, this isn't just about feeding a growing population, though that's part of it.
Yeah.
It really points to a significant drive towards agricultural modernization. Intensification, India is trying to maximize its food production. We also see really robust expansion in places like Singapore and across Southeast Asia generally, both experiencing CAGRs over 8%.
So similar drivers there.
It indicates similar pushes,
Yeah.
Improved agricultural efficiency in these really dynamic economies.
So when you see this kind of concentrated, accelerated growth in Asia-Pacific, especially from giants like China and India, what does that suggest? What are the broader implications for global agriculture? What shifts are we seeing?
Well, it clearly signifies that these regions aren't just expanding their overall agricultural output. They're actively investing in more sophisticated, higher-yield farming methods.
Right, moving beyond basics.
Exactly. It reflects a transition in many areas, away from maybe traditional practices towards more commercial, more technology-driven agriculture. And that's fueled by things like changing dietary demands and just the continuous need for higher productivity from, finite land resources is a really interesting indicator of where the future of global food production is heading.
Okay, fascinating. Right, let's shift our gaze across the Pacific. North America, another significant player, and growing steadily.
A major market.
In 2021, recorded sales just over $2.2 billion, projected to reach over $4.7 billion by 2033. That's a solid CGR of nearly 6.5%.
Yeah, and looking closer there, the U.S. remains the largest market, expanding to over $3.1 billion. Canada also contributes significantly. Its market's projected to more than double, hitting over $1 billion.
Okay.
But Look at Mexico. It shows a particularly strong growth trajectory within the region,
Oh, interesting.
projected to almost triple its market value to nearly 474 million by 2033. And that comes with an impressive CGR of over 8.2%. Really stands out in North America.
Higher than the U.S. or Canada's rate?
Much higher. It suggests, a rapidly evolving agricultural landscape down there, maybe driven by new farming initiatives or perhaps increasing demand for specific high-value crops. Something's definitely pushing that growth.
Right. Now let's hop over to Europe. Overall sales revenue there, over 1.9 billion in 2021, forecasted to more than double again to nearly 4 billion by 2033. The CAGR is over 6.3%. So solid growth there too.
It is solid, but what's particularly striking in Europe, I think, is the surprising diversity in growth rates across the continent.
How so?
Well, you have Germany. It remains the largest market, projected to reach over 940 million. The UK shows strong growth, too, up to over 659 million. But then countries like Italy, Russia, Spain, they're seeing more, let's say, moderate expansion. Their cookies are a bit lower, sort of in the 4.5 to 5.5% range, mostly.
Okay.
But then you get these pockets, like
What?
Luxembourg. Despite its smaller size, it's showing really impressive growth. Market more than doubling to over 91 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of nearly 7.5%.
For Luxembourg.
Yeah. Could be due to maybe specialized high-value agriculture or specific policy supports, perhaps. It's notable.
And you mentioned diversity. Is there another surprise?
Yes, perhaps the biggest surprise here is the rest of Europe category.
The aggregated segment.
Exactly. This segment shows the strongest CAGR in the entire region, a remarkable 14.7%.
14.7.
Yes, expanding from about 25 million to over 146 million,
Wow.
which, raises an important question. What exactly is driving such explosive growth in these smaller or maybe less individually defined European markets?
Yes, new agricultural players, a
Yeah.
big shift in farming practices within those combined areas.
It's hard to say from just the aggregate, but it's definitely a hotspot.
That rest of Europe number definitely caught my eye too. It's interesting how those aggregated segments can sometimes reveal unexpected dynamism. Okay, shifting now to emerging opportunities. The Middle East shows significant potential for compound fertilizers. Revenues projected to more than double, from about 373 million in 2021 to over 866 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of over 7.3%.
Indeed. And in the Middle East, we see pretty consistent growth across the major players there. Saudi Arabia forecast to more than double its market, reaching over 332 million. The United Arab Emirates, also strong growth, projected to hit over 185 million. Qatar also has notable growth, more than doubling its market to nearly 45 million.
Right.
And just like in Europe, the rest of the Middle East stands out again. Highest CAGR in its region, over 10% this time,
10%.
surging from around 16 million to nearly 48.5 million.
So what could be behind that?
Again, speculation, but it could indicate things like new agricultural projects, maybe diversification efforts away from oil, increasing investment in food security initiatives within those other countries in the region.
Makes sense. Okay, turning now to South America. Sales reached just under 389 million back in 2021, projected to reach just shy of 790 million by 2033. So again, more than doubling. CGR there is over 6.1%.
And Brazil, as you'd probably expect, holds the largest share in South America. Its market's projected to double to over 363 million.
Right.
Argentina is also a main contributor, forecast to reach over 165 million. Colombia, though, shows a slightly higher regional CGR, nearly 7%. Its market more than doubling to over 91 million.
Interesting. Any thoughts on Colombia's higher rate?
Well, it could be linked perhaps to expansion in its agricultural exports,
Sure.
or maybe internal food production efforts gaining traction.
Got it. And finally, let's round out our regional analysis with Africa.
Okay.
Its revenues are projected to increase from about 365 million in 2021 to over 701 million by 2033. The key GR there is nearly 5.3%.
Right. And in Africa, South Africa is leading the growth. Its market's projected to more than double to nearly 340 million. Nigeria also sees significant sales, forecast to reach over 270 million. It is notable, however, that the rest of Africa segment, it actually has the lowest regional CGR we've seen, just under 3.8%.
Oh, that's different from the other rest of categories.
Very different. It suggests that while overall growth is present, the uptake of these compound fertilizers in maybe smaller or less developed African markets might be more varied, maybe slower compared to the rapid acceleration we saw elsewhere, like in Europe or the Middle East.
So, potential reason.
Perhaps it indicates a need for more fundamental agricultural infrastructure first, or maybe market access challenges in some of those regions. The growth isn't quite as explosive across the board there.
Okay, so, wow, that's a lot of numbers, a lot of regional variation. Pulling all this together, what does it all mean for us? What are the big takeaways?
Yeah, I think the aha moments here are really first, the sheer consistency of robust growth we see almost everywhere. It just underscores this fundamental global need for more efficient food production.
Right. It's a global trend.
Definitely. But maybe even more fascinating are those standouts each years in specific, often smaller segments, like that incredible 14.7% in rest of Europe or the 10% in rest of Middle
Yeah,
East.
those really jump out.
They're not just statistical quirks, right? They hint at potentially localized agricultural revolutions, maybe new policy drivers kicking in, or emerging specialized farming areas that are just disproportionately increasing demand. And then, of course, you have those individual country powerhouses we talked about, like India with its 8.3% CAGR, Mexico at 8.2%. Their high growth rates signal really significant agricultural shifts happening on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So if we connect all that to the bigger picture, well, it highlights the increasing global reliance on advanced agricultural inputs, not just for more food, but for more efficient and productive food systems, especially as resources like land and water become scarcer.
Absolutely. Which brings us to a final thought, maybe. As this market continues its really dramatic growth,
Yeah.
what are the broader implications for how we think about feeding a growing global population and the resources, water, land, required to do that sustainably?
That's the critical question, isn't it?
It really is. It's a powerful reminder, I think, of how market trends, even in what might seem like niche areas like fertilizer sales, fundamentally shape the future of essential industries and, well, ultimately, our collective well-being, something for all of you to think about.